today again, our Parliament was trashed by people wanting to also trash our Constitution. And I'll show you an appalling example of just this in a second. But it's been going on for day after day now in Parliament. Your Prime Minister has been refusing to give a straight answer to any question about his plan for a voice and a treaty. Now, it's an insult to you that he thinks he can now keep secret his plan for the biggest change to the way we are governed. This is Anthony Albanese's plan to divide Australians by race, giving people some different rights and handouts depending on if they're the right race. Now, he still thinks, and this is so arrogant, that he doesn't have to tell you what he plans exactly and how it would work. And what I also find totally unacceptable now is how the Speaker of Parliament, Milton Dick, it's a Labor guy, is letting Albanese turn question time into a clown show. Now, question time is actually very critical in our Parliament, to our democracy. It's the opposition's chance to ask the government important questions about the running of the nation, about our future, and ask them where the penalties of lying are severe. But what is the point of question time? The Speaker of the House is so weak or complicit that he lets the government not answer any of those questions, just lets it turn those questions into a comedy routine. Today, several examples again, but I'm going to show you just one of them that says it all. It shows you Albanese once again being asked if he still supports the treaty he promised on election night, even advertised on his T-shirt, you might recall. A treaty between people claiming to be Aborigines and everyone else, reparations and the whole catastrophe. And you will pay, of course. Now, you'd want to know the answer to that, right? You would, in fact, deserve an answer. You are owed one. But now watch this edited exchange today. Albanese refuses to answer, just quotes what some people in the opposition have said, totally beside the point. So he's asked the question again. The Speaker, Milton Dick, says, oh, look, OK, yeah, you better answer the question, Prime Minister. But Albanese simply ignores him, keeps talking instead about anything but the treaty. So the opposition leader then tells the Speaker, please, you've got to take action, aren't you? Do that. Oh, yes, I will. Oh, yes, I will, says the Speaker. But then sits there as Albanese defies him, keeps going to the end, never mind what the Speaker asks him, ignoring the question and bull-dusting you.
Does the Prime Minister remain committed to a national treaty, as called for in the Uluru Statement from the heart?
The Leader of the Opposition said the voice will re-racialise our nation.
The question was very clear. It was about a national treaty. Now, do you stand by your commitment for a national treaty or not?
The Prime Minister needs to make his remarks directly relevant.
Well, we're in the post-truth world over there, Mr Speaker, the post-truth world. Indeed, Senator Cash tried to up the Barnaby Joyce comment and said this: if we put the voice in the Constitution, we're effectively announcing an apartheid-type state.
It is defying your earlier remarks. Can you please, Mr Speaker, provide a ruling as to whether he's in order or not?
And if he is not relevant to the question, I will call him to order.
The member for New England actually said in May, this might be the last budget we have if this craziness got up. No economic questions in here, Mr Speaker.
What you saw was an utter disgrace. I mean, did you hear any attempt to answer that question? Do you still support a treaty? Any at all? And what's the Speaker doing? Oh, you better. Not taking any action, which it should be speak, answer the question, or sit down. That's what you got to do. So what Albanese was doing there is refusing in your Parliament to give you an answer about a radical plan that will affect you, and for the worst, I may add. And the reason you need all these details now is that this voice, that's the first step in Albanese's plan. Voice first, treaty afterwards. They go hand in hand. This voice is going to be written into our Constitution. And once it's there, it cannot be changed. The government can't scrap it. And this is a really important point, because we saw it just today, how it's so important in Western Australia. Now, the Labor government there brought in its Aboriginal heritage laws just last month. They too this government said, oh, look, nothing to fear from this change, just like Albanese is saying by the voice, nothing to fear, no big deal. It's just going to be used to, protect Aboriginal heritage. Who could be against that? Yet before you knew it, and I've covered it on this show, Aboriginal groups were using the mere threat of it to demand $2.5 million simply to let volunteers plant shrubs. What a try on that was. Using it to ban other people from planting trees even. I mean, seriously. And farmers, of course, were wondering if they could even dig a little dam or put up a shearing shed without forking out a fortune to local Aboriginal groups with dollar signs in their eyes. And guess what? Today, the West Australian Premier did what Albanese will not be able to do if his voice turns out exactly what I predict, another dog's breakfast, this time an unsackable bunch of activists gumming up government with extreme demands. The West Australian Premier scrapped his heritage laws just like that.
As Premier, I understand that the legislation has unintentionally caused stress, confusion and division in the community. And for that, I'm sorry. We got the balance wrong, and what we did hasn't worked. I and the government have made the decision to overturn the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act 2021.
Premier Cook could scrap his Aboriginal heritage laws after just a few weeks after realising they were a mistake. It wasn't anything like he thought they would be. But no one, not even Albanese, will be able to scrap Albanese's voice to Parliament if that turns out to be another disaster too, exactly as so many people are now predicting. The day after is too late. He won't be able to no one will be able to change the voice without going through all this again. A huge referendum, a huge debate, years of preparation, hundreds of millions of dollars of government spending, campaigns, yes, no, and then finally the big vote, the whole thing. It ain't going to happen. So who on earth does that help then? For Albanese to be promising something he cannot change if it turns out to be a catastrophic mistake, which it is. That's why it is critical that you are now told all the details of Albanese's racist plan, the voice, the treaty, all that, now, before it's too late. And it's even more critical that our Parliament is not treated with this contempt and turned into the farce that we saw today.